Hey everyone, today we're adding the first ride to Mythos, and yes, it's a charoplane, yes, it's just a flat ride, but it's the perfect ride to start Mythos with, because it has only crashed Planet Coaster 2 twice for me. Anyways, before we actually get started, don't forget to like and subscribe button if you want to see more. Now let the chaos begin! Alright, to get started I have to admit something. So in the previous video somebody mentioned, hey, I would like longer videos and for you not to cut stuff out. Yeah, I usually don't cut stuff out. A lot of the times everything that I record, I put in the video. But there's the emphasis on everything that I record, because this video is a prime example of not just a brain fart, but also what I would call a brain explosion, which is kind of fun, but also, I mean, it's not gory in any sort of way. Like, a brain fart is just mind goes empty and the Windows shutdown sound starts playing on loop. What I call a brain explosion is when I get a lot of inspiration all at once and I forget to hit record. And during building, I also don't check if I'm recording. So a lot of the times, if you see something just pop up on screen, that's when I forget to hit record. So when it comes to the charoplane, which I really want to just call a swinging carousel, I don't know why, but when it comes to building the charoplane, the whole idea was to make it like a mechanical orchestra, so put like all of these music instruments on top of the charoplane. Like, I'm not changing a lot to the body of the charoplane. I think I just add like a nice golden toned grate or something on the body of it, but I put all of the detail on top because I like how the charoplane looks with the rest of the Mythos main street so far. But what happened is the two main instruments, the harp and the drum, I just completely forgot to record the building of. And so suddenly there's just a drum. Actually, I think right now already the drum is on there because it's the first thing that I built. And then later on I built a harp and there's movement in both of them. I've now just set them on a loop because I have to figure out like the event sequencer for the charoplane. So that's going to take some time. But yeah, that's why sometimes videos are short. It's just because I forget to hit record. Because videos could be a whole lot longer if I actually don't forget to hit record. And then there's some things that I just don't record, which are usually like the small things when I need to like change something slightly, or it's like something that I just do over and over and over again, where it's just like the minutiae details, those that are usually a little bit boring, or like I've done them once and then I need to do it 10 times. Like, I think with the chimneys on the last video, it was just like, yeah, I built a chimney and now I need to place it like 10 times over everywhere. And yeah, I usually don't record that. But when it comes to like details, sometimes it's just a brain explosion where I get an idea, I need to build the idea, but everything else beyond that, brain don't work. Recording button is not pressed. And then I find out, oh, this is like a key thing of the build. I haven't recorded it as I'm putting the video together. So yeah, basically, if video short, me dum-dum. That's it. So where did my thoughts go? Like, this is a prime example of just a brain fart. And just like, I see the thought and it's running away from me. But so I'm not cutting down videos most of the time. Sometimes I do when it's like over an hour, because I don't have the voice strength for that. Like, after every voiceover, my voice is just kind of gone. And it sounds like I'm made out with a cheese grater and a, what is it called? Chainsaw, and just went to town on them. Because my throat just feels like that. So you will probably not see like a over 50-minute video from me, but at the same time, I usually also don't like cutting down too much. Again, sometimes if I'm doing things on repeat for like 5 million times, then I will cut that out, because then it's just, yeah, you're looking at the same thing for 20 minutes. Let's just show you how I do it once, and then just trust me, I will do it like 10 million times, but that's just kinda boring. But anyway, so that's just how to explain why, for example, in this video, instruments just start appearing. It's just because I built them when I think the harp I built when I just got home from work, and I mean, I'm already not the most awake mentally after work, but if you then put in a brain explosion next to that, then just nothing gets done. Well, things get done, but things don't get recorded. So you will see me building a lot of like horn instruments. I didn't build the full instruments because I'm not going to build a whole tuba or a whole saxophone or anything, because you will not see it through the mess of all the other instruments. But yeah, sorry. But I did build everything to kind of move except the horn instruments. Actually, one of the horn instruments, like the big one that I actually did record, I think we started with that one. It shoots confetti at the end and the start of the ride. I did finagle that into the event sequencer, but I constantly have the feeling with the event sequencer for rides that like I'm doing things 100 times more difficult than they should, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it a simpler process, but also it's literally copying movements or actions along a time bar, and I'm a squirrel. I don't have the patience for that, or at least the motivation. I want things to pop into movement and just, you know, continue doing it magically without my inputs. Because my input is insane. Also, I actually looked up music to go with the aeroplane, and then I realized, oh, we don't have custom music yet. Because it would have been great if I just like found a music piece and then made the music instruments kind of move according to like the notes being hit. If there's like a drum in the music piece, then as you hear the drum, then the drum on the actual aeroplane also bangs. Or if you hear the harp, it suddenly swings out, because yes, I didn't know what to do with the harp, so it just swings in and out of the roof of the aeroplane. Not that you will see the harp, because I forgot to hit record, because I'm a dum-dum. I also like to call myself an asshole, but like, asshole potentially in the good way. Not in the morning though, because I am not a morning person. I mean, I'm not mean, I'm just like, I don't have the energy to deal with you now, so I'm just quiet and just nah. Anyway, so this is pretty much like all I did with the aeroplane, because again, for me, just the look of the aeroplane just really fits well with Mythos, so I didn't change a lot to it. Now, I did get the idea thrown at me by Claire of make it look like the orchestra boxes in theaters, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. How do I do that? Also, because like the pods, if you get them too close to each other, because the main pod is actually a bit higher, like there's different levels, like the main street, or at least like the buildings of the main street, are on a slightly higher level than the actual main pod, and then this aeroplane is a slightly lower level than the main pod. So there's like a terrace thing going on, just because I wanted to play a little bit with elevation, but still wear things flat, because that's easy. But here's one thing though that I immediately did when it came to like the different elevations in the main street. I made sure that all of the parting is wheelchair friendly, because you can actually do that in Planet Coaster 2. Because you have like more control over like the height differences, like the angle that the pod goes down or up on, so you can actually make things wheelchair friendly. So yes, if you're in a wheelchair, you can go everywhere on the main street so far. You can't go inside the main building of the entrance, but nobody can do that because I haven't built the interior of the entrance yet. Because that's a horror show. Not so much of like, oh, it's going to take a lot of work, which it will, but it's also just like it looks like a freaking porcupine in there. Like, that's the thing with buildings, especially here in the main street and such. I just stick things to like get like the smaller bit of a piece. But because of that, it just sticks into the building. So if you look at the interior of buildings, none of them have them so far. But if you look at them, it's just like, oh yeah, there's this beam just sticking through. Or there's this, I don't know, this trim that just goes into the building. And it's just like, well, yeah, this. If you turn this inside out, it would stab you. But anyways, so when it came to the orchestra box, I put in like at the ends, I put in like the little lights like you see on old theaters with like the shell on one side, and I think at the time it was like a candle on the other, which also just made me think recently of like, you know, with Christmas trees, like now we put like electrical lights in it. But the Christmas tree dates back from before electricity was a thing. Which means that sometimes they would probably put candles in the tree. How many trees would have gone set on fire in the olden days just because there were actual candles in the tree? That was just a random thought that I just had of like, yeah, that's... And then it's like, oh yeah, but Christmas trees weren't as prevalent back then. But still. Which house just went up in flames because the Christmas tree got out of control? Anyways, back to the actual build and no random thoughts. I mean, I can't guarantee that it's me. I have a random thought like every 2 seconds. Right now, I'm for some reason thinking of sheep. Sheep are cute. Their eyes are weird, but they are kind of cute. And for some reason, I want to pick a sheep up and just throw it in the air because then it's just like a flying cloud. The sheep would be terrified and traumatized, but they're fluffy. Now I'm also thinking of like that sheep that got lost and survived any like wolf attacks and such just because it had such a huge fleece that no wolf or no like predator could actually get to the sheep because they couldn't bite through all of that wool. That's just amazing. Anyways, back to the actual build and no more sheep thoughts, which make no sense with this build. But when it came to like just everything around the chairplane, it was just like, yeah, circular, because of course the chairplane is going to be the main feature here, so everything kind of has to revolve around it, and I like circles. So, and then I also had to make the fence. Now, this is the one big thing that I'm missing with Planet Coaster 2. It's like there's no classical stuff, like the just almost stereotypical classical like park benches, and I'm not talking about like 1800s or something, but like the wooden bar or park benches with like the metal on the side, or like sort of like the classical street lights. All of those would have worked perfect in Mythos, or at least Mythos and then Mythos as in the main street, because Mythos is also the name of the entire park, but it's confusing. It confuses me as well. But then that's a very low bar for me. Like, to confuse me is very easy. You can literally probably throw a ball into the air and I will be confused. But anyways, back to the actual build. So yeah, there's classical stuff I need to make myself. And I'm going to probably tear out every single streetlight that I've made so far, except for the ones that I've made this video. Because I wanted to just like classical I want to say Victorian, but like just the classical street lights. This is the kind of whimsical street lights that we don't have them. So I made them. And now I made a newer version that I like a lot more, that looks like what I was actually wanting to have. But that also means that the streetlights that I made before actually don't work as well anymore. Also, they just don't give off any light. Like the new ones that I'm making this video give off a lot more light than the ones that I originally made. Like with the ones that I originally made, I had to put in fake lights underneath them because there was just no light being emitted from them. And I did check, all of the lights are turned on, it's just that the lights that I use just don't give off a lot of light just because for some reason. So I need to change that. I also just wanted to have one side of the main street have like this, not harbor, but like promenade or boulevard vibe. So I wanted to have like water and just to kind of set it apart more from Disney. Because I just didn't want to just have like, oh yeah, 2 rows of building on either side. I wanted to have something a little bit more going on. But then I also didn't want to do the Efteling, which is also another main main inspiration point. So yeah, boulevard or waterside promenade is the thing to go. I think promenade's always waterside. I don't know which. I actually had to study that, and I've just completely forgot. Like, I should know the difference between a promenade and a boulevard, but brain don't work. But then when has it ever worked? But yeah, I just found a picture of Paris and just looked at like the waterfront near the Seine and just replicated that a little bit. I do want to build like the little swan boats and just put them in there. They're not going to be functional, but I just want them there because it just looks fun. I also just want to make tiny little geese and swans. And I can do that because, again, I've made buttons for ATMs. And I've also, this is not in this video, but in the next video, I just go crazy because there's like a lot of stuff that I want to put on roofs, but the one thing that we have to put on roofs, so it is an air conditioning unit, I just don't like. So then I went just like, I'm going to make my own. Now I'm going to make all of the roof stuff. But anyways, there's another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is just Planet Coaster 2 in general, which fun thing that just keeps happening with me is whenever I close down Planet Coaster 2, it crashes. And it's not a big problem for me, at least, because I mean it's already closing down, so I've like saved and everything, but I don't know long term what it's going to do to the stability of my game. So I'm already just making sure that I have everything backed up because I'm not going to lose Mythos. But yeah, there's definitely, I don't know if everyone would agree, but I have a feeling that a lot of people might agree that like Planet Coaster 2 would have been better if it's just been left in the oven for like 2-3 more months. Because at the core, it's good. It's just this, it's a bit buggy. And there's some elements that are just missing. And don't get me started about the log flumes and like the river rapids and just the water texture on those. I think they said that they're going to improve that, but yeah, it just right now looks like gel. Like the gel that I put in my hair. Like textures are being weirdly stretched and such. So I'm so far, besides just the bug of it crashing whenever I close down the game, haven't run into too many issues, and none of them are really game breaking. I did mention at the start in the intro, oh yeah, this aeroplane ride crashed my game twice. That's because there's so many pieces. And I was like, I think it's just a little bit more unstable when you're building like the right decoration. It's a little bit more unstable, but And maybe that's actually how the harp didn't get recorded, because it crashed and then my OBS goes crazy because suddenly the game that's recording is just not there. Maybe that happened, I don't know, but I was just placing a lot of pieces and then trying to duplicate those, and then Blend Coaster 2 was just like, nope, we're going to crash right now. Anyway, so building the actual lights was interesting because, again, I want to just have those classical street lights. I want those classical benches, but also that's actually another bug that I ran into. If I place benches down, I can't double click on the bench that I placed down to duplicate it, because then my game also crashes. Yeah, Blend Coaster is a lot more buggy than I thought originally. So there's just a few things where I'm just like, don't touch it, Poison, because the game will crash. I should file a bug report on that, but here's the thing with me and bug reporting. I remember it when it happens. Wait 10 seconds. I've completely forgotten it. Or at least I'm usually like, I'm in a building zone or like the brain explosion that I talked about earlier. And so I restart the game immediately and just continue building. Like I just go on autopilot mode and then I just completely forget. But yeah, I should probably file a bug report on that. Like what? Here's the thing, if I just place all of the benches, then multi-select all of them to change the color or something, that's fine. If I want to place a bench, change the colors or whatever, and then try and duplicate that bench from the bench that I placed, then it crashes. The same thing I think happens with trash cans and all of the stuff you put on the pots. Yeah, Blend Coaster could have really done well with 2-3 more months in the oven. But here's the thing, don't blame the devs for this. This is probably, most definitely, 99% the decision of like management. And those are the unseen people who push things out ahead of schedule just to like beef up the financials and such. So if you are in like the comment sections of like tweets of Planet Coaster 2 or something, talking shit to the devs, you're basically just shooting the messenger, not the actual cook or the chef in the kitchen, because most devs are very passionate about games. It's the management that usually is a little bit... It would be funny if after this I just don't get any response from Frontier anymore. Anyways, back to the actual build. So yeah, I placed a lot of just... Here's the thing, with the theme of Mythos, as in the main street being like this Parisian street, a lot of the times when I look up like gardens or something for that, it's like very structured and such, and I just really don't like that. So I'm trying to finagle my way in between by having like these really structured bushes, but then at the same time having everything else be a little bit chaotic, because I'm chaotic. I like a natural looking garden. I also want to have like insect houses and butterfly houses and such in Mythos. Why? Because I just like them. It's pretty and it adds a bit of another dimension of life into it. Now, another thing that I need to mention is that the next video is probably going to be about the parking lot. Because as you can see right now, there's no guests whatsoever in Mythos. That's because I haven't built any guest spawners. We're going to do that in the next video. Although probably for the cinematics of this video, I will just put in an emergency guest spawner so that I can have people on the aeroplane as it's riding. Also, for the queue, just a quick mention. I didn't make it long because I'd never seen a aeroplane with like a huge queue. It's usually one of like the rides that you kind of walk past, and if you're really feeling in the mood, you can go on it, or it's like for children. So didn't want to build a huge queue for it. probably because it's not ever going to really get that full. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to see more, there's the subscribe button. There's also memberships if you want early access to videos. Anyways, that's going to be it. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.